Welcome back to Epilogues, an unpacking of the weekly Haftorah. You are listening to Rabbi Yaakov Trump. This week we're going to be looking at the Haftorah of Parshas Emor, which takes us to Sefer Yechezkel, Perek Mem Daled, Pasuk Tes Vov to Lamed Aleph. This is the latter half of the 44th chapter in Yechezkel. Yechezkel is talking about the future time of the Beis HaMikdash, when the Beis HaMikdash will be rebuilt, remembering that Yechezkel witnessed the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, and he hears the prophecies of what it will be like when there will be a return. These are specifically from Prakim Mem to Mem Ches, the last 8 or 9 chapters of Sefer Yechezkel. Let's take a look at how this expresses itself in our Haftorah. We first hear in the first little paragraph from Tes Vov to Tes Zayin about the Kohanim Haleviim, the priests who are of the tribe of Levi, who are the children of Tzadok. What is their job? Asher Shamru es Mishmeres Mikdashi. They're going to guard my temple. When Bnei Yisrael, Bisois Bnei Yisrael Me'alai, when the nation of Israel may go in the wrong direction, they will be the ones who call out to them to come back to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to bring sacrifices, and they will be the ones who come to the Beis HaMikdash to bring the bread to the table of Hashem, so to speak, to be sacrificing the sacrifices in the Beis HaMikdash and to guard the stewardship of the Beis HaMikdash. A few basic questions in this first paragraph, and that is aren't all Kohanim Leviim? The priests, the Kohanim, are a subset of the tribe of Levi. So why is it necessary for the Torah to describe them as Kohanim who are Leviim? So this harkens back to the Egel HaZahav at the times in Parshas Kisisa, where we hear about the nation of Israel who has been led astray by a small subset of rabble-rousers who now are serving this Egel HaZahav, this golden calf. And Moshe Rabbeinu comes down the mountain, breaks the luchos, and calls out, Mi la Hashem Elai, who is for God come to me, and the tribe of Levi comes to him, and takes responsibility in a very harsh way to have to stop the plague, to appease the anger, the wrath of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. By calling the Kohanim, the Leviim, it is reminding them of their responsibility, that leadership is not a name that you get pinned to your office door. It is a responsibility you live with and represent your entire life, and that's why they're called HaKohanim HaLeviim. Which leads us to the next question, which is, why are they called the children of Tzadok? Who was Tzadok precisely? Rashi takes us back to the beginning of Bayez Rishon, the beginning of the first temple. This is, at this point in time, 400 plus years before when Yechezkel is living. He was the Kohen Gadol from the times of Shlomo Melech, and it's almost as if you're saying, we're going to renew your times. Chadesh Yameinu Kekedem. It's going to be like the beginning, like it was the good time at the beginning. And Radak adds a little bit of color to this, pointing out that there were different lines of Kohanim whose families were in charge of the Kuna Gedolah, the high priesthood. And for the Sefer of Shoftim, it was really the branch of Itamar, of the children of Aaron, that went through until the times of Eli, the Kohen Gadol, who lost it through the curse at the beginning of Sefer Shmuel, because the way his children were acting, and ultimately it transferred to Tzadok. Tzadok was a different line of Kohanim who took it. So we're going back to that rectified line of Kohanim, and that's what is being expressed over here in our Haftorah. It should be obvious at this point in time that the reason why this Haftorah is read following Parshas Emor is Emor talks about the responsibility and the job of the Kohanim, of the high priests, which is obviously what our Haftorah is about. But instead of being talking about the future at the times of the Mishkan and the Mikdash in Parshas Emor, it's talking about the future Beis HaMikdash at the times of Yechezkel. We move to Psukim Yud Zayin to Yud Tes, where we're told that there's a few details about the big day Kohen, the clothes that they are supposed to wear. So when they come to the Chotzer HaPnimis, the inner courtyard, they need to wear big day Pishtim, linen clothing. They cannot wear wool when they serve in the inside. We hear about they're having to wear special types of hats, and how they have to belt themselves, where they have to belt themselves. And when they go out, they are not allowed to wear these clothes. Rather, they have to switch them to their regular clothes, so that they are not going to bring these clothes among the people. They should not bring the kedusha, so to speak, to the people as well. What is wrong with wool? Why is wool disqualified? So there's two ways of looking at it. Metzudas David points out that this is actually referring to the Kohanim Gedolim. The Kohanim Gedolim have a limit that they cannot wear wool, but regular Kohanim can actually. The Radak says, and this is a very important machloikas which appears all the way through these chapters in Yechezkel, because you see Yechezkel talks about things which aren't exactly as they are now, which means he's saying descriptions and laws about the Kohanim and about the Beis Hamikdash in other chapters around here, which don't seem to be what the Torah says. How do we account for that difference? So one of them is that perhaps we need a more careful reading, like the Metzuros is pointing out, that it's only referring to the Kohanim Gedolim, not a regular Kohen. But it could be, as the Radak points out, that really it's referring to an innovation in the future. That yes, the Torah governed the Mishkan and the Bayis Rishon, but when Mashiach will come, which is what it seems that Yechezkel is talking about, there will be new laws at such a time, and one of those laws will be the extra stipulation that the big day Kohana be only of Pishtim, not of Tzemer. Fascinating machlokes which applies itself many times. We now move into Psukim Chav to Chav Zayin. We hear now a little bit about some of the restrictions for priesthood. So, as an example, they cannot shave their heads, but they cannot let them. They cannot let them grow too long. So we have a sort of in-between requirement. They cannot drink wine when they go to the Chatzar HaPnimis. They cannot, a male Kohen cannot marry a almana u'gerusha, a widow or a divorcee. Ki mesulas mizera beis Yisrael v'almana asher tiyeh almana mikohen yakacho. And they could marry a widow from another Kohen. Now, what is their job? This is a very important pasuk. Ves ami yoru ben kodesh lachol uben tamei latahar yodium. Their job is to teach the nation of Israel between holy and mundane. Val riv hemoyamdu limishpat b'mishpatei yishpatuhu. They're going to be the judges for justice when there's an issue. Ve'el meis adam lo yavoy. They cannot come in proximity to a dead body except if it's their close relatives, and then they will have to count their 7 days of purity and then return as well. And bringing a korban chatas there afterwards. So fascinating. A lot of the restrictions over here. Some of these are unique, meaning the haircuts. So what does that mean precisely? So the Metzuros points out that it refers only to the Kohanim Gedolim. It's a very limited law about the Kohen Gadol, not the regular Kohanim. Again, because we don't see that restriction in the Torah itself. The Radak again says, no, this is a new law that's going to be referring to the fact that there is a limit of a new 30-day limit on no haircuts. So it cannot be beyond 30 days, but it cannot be a shave as well. Another thing which seems to be unique over here is that the Torah tells us in Parshas Emor that a regular Kohen can marry a almana, a widow, but he cannot marry a divorcee. But here, Yechezkel seems to be saying that there's going to be both divorcees and widows are out of bounds for a Kohen. So what does this refer to? So it could be, it says Rabbi, referring to the Kohen Gadol, like the Torah says is referring to the Kohen Gadol, or it could be referring to the Kohanim's new laws in the future as well. Again, the same debate that we just saw before. And finally, we hear about the Kohanim's inheritance, as we talked about that Hashem says that they are not going to have their own inheritance because I am their nachla, and they're going to have the ability to be able to eat the karbonos when they're on duty, and they're going to get the firsts of many things, like the first fruits, and the grains, and the truma, and the challah, and all those things which are brought to them. Because they're going to bring a blessing to your houses for doing this, and therefore they cannot also have any nevela, any carcass, or anything which died in a way which is not through the process of shchita as well. Which raises the question: is surely all of Bnei Yisrael are also not allowed to eat a nevela and trefa, a carcass as well? So Rashi says, well, because they have the ability of doing what the process called melika. Instead of shechting the doves, they have this sharpened thumbnail, and they're able to slice its throat with that thumbnail. Therefore, because that is less of a normal way of shechting things, they may think that they may have the ability to eat a nevela and trefa, so that the Navi is emphasizing that is not the case as well. But the Radak takes it one step further, and he says that they make a person impure, Not only are these also because they are treif, which is isur v'heter, but they also make a person impure. And because of that, there's an extra added responsibility given to the Kohanim not to enter into a state of impurity beyond even the isur v'heter as well. The Chida makes another observation, that is at a time of war, let's say a person has nothing to eat, a person may eat nevelas and treifas, that's a halacha. But the Chida points out the Kohanim would not be able to, even in a time of sakanos nefashos, of danger of their life. They have to be more careful because of their responsibility. You'll notice over here that if you compare this to the beginning of Parshas Shoftim, where it describes the Kohanim being a person who is a arbiter, as a judge for issues of importance of judgment, when it comes to our Haftorah, it sounds like they take on a new role, not just responding to the requests and the qualms and the questions of the people, but rather to go out and to teach as well. And this therefore talks to the responsibility as the Kohen, not just as a person who is a shliach of Hashem, as a responsibility as a messenger of Hashem, but it's also a responsibility to the people as well. It's a shliach of the people to Hashem, teaching the people from Hashem and also expressing the needs of the people to HaKadosh Baruch Hu as well. This concludes the Haftorah of Parshas Emor. In the meantime, have a wonderful and meaningful day.